Hello, it's Who time. So, following my video on disassembling Doctor Who figures for customization purposes, not because I'm some sort of weird psychopath who likes dismembering Doctor Who figures for no reason, I said I'd do a video on how to use Milliput, the putty stuff that's crucial for customization. So, let's get into it. First, you need to get some. A quick Google search shows you many options of where to procure it. Personally, I got mine from Amazon for £3. I got the standard grey-yellow coloured one. Comes in a variety of colours, if that matters to you. Since I paint over it, it doesn't matter to me, I don't care. Now you've got it, let's use it. So, opening up the box, you'll find two tubes, two halves of the epoxy putty. You now need to cut a piece of each tube, roughly equal amounts of each, then mix them together in your hands until the two colours have completely blended. If the putty feels a bit crumbly, then you haven't quite got the 50-50 ratio of both parts of the putty right. So you'll need to add a bit more of one of the parts, whichever you think you put less of in the mix. If you're struggling, it's best to start off using small amounts of each to practice and get used to mixing the two parts of the putty. Now you can start sculpting. Here, just to demonstrate, I'm going to use it on this space zombie from Series 10's Oxygen. I'm just adding some detail onto the boot here, a simple strap over the top of each boot towards the front. It's also good for filling in gaps and holes. I'm just doing that here on the chest. I've used some Milliput here, also on this aged 11th Doctor from his Swan Song Christmas special, The Time of the Doctor. I've used it here to create a shirt with some buttons, ready for the bow tie to be stuck on top. I've been using Milliput on loads of stuff actually, of late. Here's an Ice Lord in the works. We've got a 3D printed head thanks to Nathan Moore Designs. Then I've used Milliput on the body and the belt. And there's a third Doctor cloak being adapted to make a cape. Here we've got a regenerated 13th Doctor from The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Has a cardigan made out of Milliput with the coat and shoes taken from a 12th Doctor figure, a Series 8 version. Here's the space zombie further down the line with much more detail added in Milliput. There will be a separate video on this chap, so stay tuned. Here's a Meglos and a Whisperman in the works too. Meglos has bumps on his skin made out of Milliput, and then cuttings from a toothbrush have been added to make the cactus-like spines. The Whisperman here is a mix of an 11th Doctor from the Snowmen, came in the B&M set, and Lilith, the Carrionite leader, with Milliput used to adjust the head, the coat and the trousers, and also to create the cravat and the buttons on the coat. Next up, I got more ambitious. Here's an entirely freehand head sculpt of a Kral from the Android invasion, specifically Stigron, the leader. Took many hours of tweaking to get to this point. Pretty happy with him now, but I'll probably still keep on tweaking it until I figure out how to do the body and the mesh dress thing. Also, here are some Zygons I finally got around to doing. Obviously, we've had Broton already, official figure, but we don't have the other two versions of the Zygons. We don't have Madra or Odda, so I made them myself. There's two versions of Madra, one with a closed mouth and one with open. The latter is to replicate the cliffhanger where he's terrifying Sarah Jane Smith. Just going back to the Whisperman and looking at the 7th Doctor from the TV movie, you can see there's this green putty on their clothing. This is called liquid green stuff. It's effectively the same as Milliput, but it's more useful for filling in small gaps and cracks and holes, especially when using this texture brush. I in fact did this a lot on my space zombie to fill in the crevices of the spacesuit. Both the liquid green stuff and the texture brush are available on the Games Workshop website if you want to grab them. Milliput is just so versatile and essential if you want to create new wonderful Doctor Who customs to add onto your shelves. I recommend you also pick up some sculpting tools as well. It makes it a lot easier to do the sculpting. Fortunately, they're very cheap and can be found on eBay between 5 and 10 quid, so go grab those. Initially, I started off using my hands, a Stanley knife and a safety pin, and that can only take you so far. So definitely pick up the sculpting tools, then you can add a lot more detail. I'd say you probably have a few hours before the putty starts to harden and becomes less malleable and less easy to use. So I wouldn't dilly-dally. Still, I'd say 2 hours is ample time if you're doing some extra sculpting to an existing figure, just adding bits on or amending bits. If you're doing an entirely new figure and you need to Milliput the entire figure and sculpt, that won't be enough time. If you're doing the latter, I'd advise sculpting sections at a time, like doing the head on one day and doing the arms on another, rather than trying to do the whole thing in one go. Because the likelihood is, unknowingly, you'll smudge or ruin a section that you thought you'd finished whilst you're handling the figure and sculpting another bit, because that bit hasn't dried that you did before. So once you're happy with your sculpted additions to an existing figure, or you're happy with a sculpted section, just leave it to dry. The putty needs 24 hours to fully cure. Well, I hope you found this video helpful and has inspired you to get creative and expand your Doctor Who figure collections. As always, don't forget to like and comment on this video. Go and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go and click on that bell for notifications of new content. And if you want more, go and follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @WhoTimeUK. Got Instagram as well. And similarly, that is instagram.com/WhoTimeUK. Thanks again for watching, my fellow Whovians, and I'll see you in the next video.